demonstration for today, I'm going to show how to use the source text property within our text layers. And this will kind of round out our introductory tour of doing text animations using text animators with two-dimensional layers. So I'll do another composition here. I'll call it text example. What is this, number 5? Text example number 5. I'm going to make the duration longer for this example, 30 seconds. And I'll start by making a text layer. Now, this is useful for when you want to do something like a credit sequence or title sequence, or even like a sing-along video or something where you have a lot of lines of text that you need to display sequentially, and you don't want to have 50 layers. If you had 50 lines of text, you don't want to have 50 layers in your timeline because it can get kind of cumbersome to work with. So by animating the source text property, if we open up our text group, go to source text, that very first property, we can change the contents of the text layer. Now notice the keyframe that it gives us by default is a hold keyframe. That basically means it's not going to in between the text. So if I move forward a few seconds here, maybe I go like 2 seconds forward or 3 seconds forward, and then to select the text and change what it says, I'll just double click the text layer. Okay, and when I do that, a new source text keyframe is created. Again, it's a hold keyframe. Now I'll go a few more seconds forward. Double click the text layer again to change what the text says. Again, it's setting another keyframe. Okay, and each time I do this, each time I move, the time marker forward to a new point in time, double click the text layer to select the text and change what it says, a new source text keyframe is created. If I scrub back through here, you can see that I can change what the text says by doing that. So this eliminates the need to have multiple text layers. You can do it all in one text layer. But it's not going to morph the shape of the letters or anything. That's why the keyframes are hold keyframes. Now we can still use text animators to animate the text or do animate in or animate out effects. So for example here, I'll do a animate in effect, like maybe I'll just do a simple position one where I get the letters to drop in from, say, the top of the screen. So I'll put in a position value where the letters are up top of the screen here. And then if I animate the range selector, and if I go, animate the start point, I can get the letters to drop in one at a time, right? So I'll set a keyframe for start. Maybe I'll go 10 frames forward. Put that at 100. So if I take a look here, you can see the letters drop in one at a time. Whoops, make sure I go all the way to 100. There we go. And maybe I'll move that over just a few more frames there. There we go. Make it a little wider. And you know what I think I want to do is make that text bigger too. So I will go to my character panel, scale up my text. There we go. Now notice though, that only affected that keyframe. Okay, so something to be aware of. If you're changing your character settings, and you've got source text keyframe set, it's only going to affect one of them. Now I think if I select all 4 of those and do it, it maybe will affect all of them. Yes, so if you select multiple source text keyframes, and make changes in the character panel, it will affect them. Okay, now what about the text animator though? Let's say I want the same text animator to happen again when it hits the second source text keyframe. Well, I can just copy and paste, right? I can take the start, the start keyframes there, copy and paste. But here's the thing, it's going to go backwards from there to there, right? They're going to drop down and then they're going to go back up. I don't want it to do that. So here's the trick. I need to put a hold on that second keyframe there so it doesn't animate backwards from there to there. And then I'll obviously need to do the same thing there. So this is how we can get a text animator to repeat. But we do have to make use of the hold keyframe command so that it doesn't animate backwards. So we can, have an entire, sequence in a single text layer by using the source text feature, and we can still do, text animator groups to animate the individual letters. We could still put the text, on a path if we wanted, if we, wanted this to be on a curved path, for example. And then in our path options, all right, so all the stuff I showed in the previous examples still applies. Oops, except when I put it on the curve, now it's not quite out of the frame. So I would need to go back to my position value and adjust that start position value just to make sure everything is out of the frame. All right, hopefully these demonstrations today give you some ideas for getting started doing creative typography in After Effects. In the next series of recordings that I'm going to do, I'm going to show how to, basically deal with this stuff in 3D, because all the stuff I showed today in these text demos can be done in 3 dimensions by using 3D text layers and using the different 3D render features. So that's something we'll take a look at in the next recordings. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.